What's good, y'all? It's J Mid here. We gonna get right down to business. You know who it is. You know what I'm here for. Today I want to discuss the possibility of Marvel Rivals dying and exactly what's killing it. Now, pretty soon I'm gonna make a top 10 list, discussing the top 10 things that will possibly kill this game based off of previous encounters with other games, what some devs have done wrong in the past, and some other points of reference. But right now, today I'm here to talk about mainly two things, which will most likely make the top 10 list anyways. But we're gonna bring them up here in this video because they seem to be the most relevant after Ultron dropping. And those two things right now are the current roadmap and balancing. Those two things seem to be big problems with the community right now. You seem to notice gigantic shifts in the meta, which is gonna happen with any balancing update. But it seems like they push for a certain play style or a certain type of damage style within these balance shifts, and that's a big problem. It seems like previous metas completely die out while new metas completely take over. I want the game to get to a point where everything and every character is viable, every playstyle is viable, but there's nothing that's too overpowered. I just had this conversation with one of my friends the other day, and they say that they completely gutted dive. I don't believe dive is completely gutted. Was it where it was last season? Hell no. But I don't believe that they completely gutted dive. Now, I think divers should have to use their entire kit in order to get a kill, right? Kind of like BP or Magic, right? When you look at people like Iron Fist, who don't really need to use his entire kit to get a kill, that's a big problem. Iron Fist can just use his block, go into the little combo he gets after his block along with the health, and boom, he gets a kill. He uses his kick to escape, and then he does it all over again. See, now that's a broken dive character, especially when it comes to duelists. Tanks, they get a little bit of leeway because they don't really have the damage to back it up, so it takes them a little bit more, and I feel like tanks like Venom are completely fair when it comes to dive. However, duelists, I apologize. However, duelists like Iron Fist, they are not in that same position because they can just run in, use one ability, get a kill, run out, and then do it all over again. It's a problem. Now let's look at the current roadmap, right? That they have, which is where they said that they're going to be dropping one character a month. This changed recently. This changed as of season 2. So moving forward, every month we're going to get a new character. And I'll talk about the issues that brings about in a moment. But just let's take a look at the current roadmap. Okay. So here's where we're at. Okay, so look, here's where all of the characters were dropped. Now let's go to the most recent characters. So we have let's start with Invisible Woman, January 10th, and Mr. Fantastic, January 10th. Then we have Human Torch, February 21st, and The Thing, February 21st. So that's already 4 characters this year, right? Then we have Emma Frost. Looks like we skipped March because we weren't doing the whole one character a month thing yet. So we get Emma Frost April 11th, and then Ultron on May 29th, I believe it was, which was recently. It's crazy that it's already June 2nd. We're already 6 months halfway through the year, but it looks like, yeah, we're still going to be continuing this trend, and that may be a problem. because all of these characters dropping would be a balancing nightmare. And they can't really focus on balancing the game just yet because they have to wait until all these characters come out. It's in the roadmap. The roadmap is they already have characters and stuff set up for the next 2 years, hopefully. Um, that's not the case, and I'll get back to the video and explain why. The reason why I said I hope that's not the case is because this game is going to be extremely hard for it to find a good spot to be in and for all the characters to be in, because they're more focused on making sure that these characters come out balanced and then balancing the entire meta around what characters come out. I know you guys noticed that with Ultron, we have a flyer meta now. We have Storm, we have Iron Man, we have Human Torch, we have Ultron, we have a bunch of flyers, and a lot of people are playing more flyers. They even dropped Iron Man along with Ultron, and they both have a team up that increases Ultron's heals. And why would you not want that? Iron Man already does a lot of damage. He received a 5% buff to his damage for being an anchor, and on top of that, he receives a team up with Ultron. So why would you not want to play Iron Man? So that's already two flyers right there in the DPS and in a strategist. Then you have a Storm, which also received a buff this season. Human Torch received a nerf, but he's still extremely viable. He's still extremely playable. This season is most definitely a flyer meta. Now, they also increased the amount of poke damage. So poke damage is damage at a distance. You have Hela, you have Punisher, you have Jeff now. He's able to kind of be a flyer counter. You have more flyer counters now, and they've increased the damage output of these flyer counters to kind of balance out the flyer meta that we're kind of in. But that just goes to show you that when a meta changes or when a character drops, they try to balance the meta around that character. We saw the same thing with Emma Frost, and with Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic. The thing before, they usually try to balance the meta around these characters as they drop, and that's nice, but overall it doesn't make the game feel 100% the best to play, because you're just playing the meta that they want you to play at the time. Of course, they want to promote the new character. That makes complete sense. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. However, it kind of makes the game unfun when the amount of options we have are reduced, because you're pushing the meta in a particular direction. There are talks already of Marvel Rivals dying, and I believe that those claims are a little bit unfounded and unbased. There are plenty of videos which are up on screen right now. Tim the Tatman, different YouTubers talking about the possibility of Marvel Rivals already dying, and I believe that's coming from the fact that when the game came out to now, the player base has dropped pretty substantially, but it's still maintaining a good number. I think it's maintaining a healthy average right now. Of course, people are gonna play the game when it first comes out. There's marketing for it when it first comes out. People see the game, they want to try it, they want to see if it fits them, and the market that it doesn't fit, those people eventually drop out and they stop playing the game, and then the numbers stabilize. I see this happen for a ton of different games. It's something that's completely normal in the business and in the market of gaming. At least I believe so. But I don't think the game is dying. I think the numbers are stabilizing. Now, the game can and will die. They need to get balancing right. This is one of the biggest things that caused Overwatch players to leave the Overwatch, on top of the fact that Overwatch had no competition in the hero shooter space at all. So they pretty much had a monopoly on hero shooters, and they were allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do with their game, and they stood uncontested for the longest. Marvel Rivals came out, then you see Overwatch willing to make a bunch of changes to their games, but by that point it's too late. Your player base has already moved on to a different game. You still have some loyal players who stay loyal to Overwatch. However, majority of the player base got tired, they were fatigued of Overwatch, and they moved on to the competitor. You guys decided to change the game up after your competitor started whooping your ass, and that's a big problem. So hopefully Marvel Rivals doesn't fall into the same category. They need time to balance the game, not around specific characters or a specific playstyle, but they need to make everything viable. I want the game to feel like Black Ops 2. Some of you may be a little bit too young to have experienced Black Ops 2, but Black Ops 2 mostly everything was viable. There were some weapons in the beginning that were a little bit overtuned. However, it leveled out through pretty early, pretty fairly early in the cycle of that game, and everything became viable. If you were good with a particular gun, you were good with a particular gun, and that was it. There wasn't a single gun in that game necessarily that was the absolute worst or that was bad or that you couldn't put work in with. And that's what I want this game to feel like when it comes to characters and the way that the way that we play the game. I want everybody to be able to be good in their own right. I want divers to be able to be good at what they're good at, and that is singling out a particular enemy and being able to eliminate them. Not vanguards, but anybody below 300 health, I believe they should be able to single out and eliminate, get in, assassinate, and get right out. I believe tanks should be able to push the front line. They should be able to front line, not easily, but they should be able to be good at their job. They should be able to create space efficiently. I believe duelists, depending on what their damage style is, what their damage output is like, I believe they should be able to cause mayhem and create space, whether on defense or on offense as need be, depending on what type of damage style they have. I just want the game to be completely balanced and viable for us to be able to enjoy every single character, and so that we're not pushed into playing characters we don't like. Nobody wants to be in a gameplay loop doing things they don't like just to be able to win. That's exactly how you lose your fan base and your player base. We want to play the game the way we want to play it. We want to play the characters that we want to play and have fun doing it, and it's completely possible. It was possible season 0. We saw there was a ton of characters that were extremely fun to play, barely any characters that were not fun to play, besides maybe Black Widow. But a lot of characters during that time were completely viable. They were extremely fun to play. You could be good, you could be helping your team out with any particular character that was out at that time. There were most definitely some characters that were overtuned, but because there were other characters that countered them that were also overtuned as well, I feel like that created a very balanced playstyle in season 0. With that being said, does that answer the question, is Marvel Rivals dying? No, Marvel Rivals is not dying. The player base is stabilizing and leveling out. Does Marvel Rivals have the possibility to die? Yes, if they do not get the balancing right. They need to get the balancing right. So I believe this year they can focus on dropping one character a month, and next year they need to really focus on balancing the game out so everything feels viable and fun to play for this game to continue experiencing the success that it's been experiencing in this genre.
Ooh, ooh, man, I made a living off of YouTube.